Well, this is going to be a fantastic show because I've got an amazing man that we're talking to from Philadelphia. It's Jerry Blavat, the Geator with the heater, the legendary radio personality, and someone I was so privileged to meet on the last Malt Shop Memories Cruise. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Listen, you are the most precious lady in the entire country, and I got to tell your audience out there, when I saw this lady smile and when I saw this lady dance, that's what makes the Malt Shop Memories Cruise so special. I mean, think about it, pretty lady. Where else could we go with our people that grew up with this music and share our youth all over again?
That's true. It's as though the years haven't even passed. It was so. I mean, I'm still on that ship. Even when I got off the ship, I'm still back there. I hear the music. And I couldn't believe the kinds of people you had on there before. But now, we are ready to go again. And it's the new Malt Shop Memories Cruise. And this time, in fact, we featured him on our cover. Who do we have but Neil Sedaka, Frankie Avalon, Bobby Rydell? Whoa!
Chubby Checker, Little Anthony, and the Imperials, Anita dancing with the boss with the hot sauce, the Geator with the heater.
You know, I asked you what you eat, how you sleep, how you exercise. You're in very, very great shape. You do look like a kid that's 18 years old.
Well, you know, Anita, I learned a long time ago, and I've been doing this for 55 years, and if you read my book, I always consider myself blessed because the music has always been a part of my life. Growing up in South Philadelphia, coming from a broken family, my father a Jewish racketeer, my mother a little Italian housewife who runs away and gets married, and then all of a sudden it's disowned because in those days you didn't marry out of your faith in 1936. And being raised by the Immaculate Heart nuns, because my mom had to get a job as a riveter during the Second World War. But in the loneliness of that existence, I found music, and I found a TV show called Bandstand. Now, this is not Dick Clark's Bandstand. This was Bob Horn's Bandstand. And your audience may not know this, but I'm sure you know this, that Dick Clark did not originate Bandstand. Bandstand was a local show that came about in 1952 with a guy by the name of Bob Horn. And I saw that show, and I heard the music, and I said, this is where I want to go. But I also knew that if I wanted to pursue this career, for me to entertain people, I have to be an example. I have to look good. I have to feel good. I have to make these people happy. So knowing that, I keep myself as much as I can in the best shape that I can. And, you know, I began as a dancer, so it's very easy when you're constantly dancing that you really work out. And I dance every day at the personal appearances and things of this nature. So I've been blessed, Anita.
No, I saw that. In fact, I was wondering if you ever sang also.
Yeah, I made a couple of records on Cameo Parkway Records that did very well. The Discophonic Walk, One More Time Back to School, Young Teenagers Gather Round, Hark to the sound that the Geator's putting down. And I did a song called Tasty, which was doing very well until it was during the era of bubblegum. And the lyric was, you're so very tasty. I love it when you taste me. You're doing things so right now. Your love is out of sight now. Tasty. Uh-oh, tasty. Now, they did that with a double voice, like the bubblegum.
Oh.
Yes. And it was getting great play until the program directors realized what the lyric was. You're so very tasty.
That's
so
good.
I went from a bullet with 75 to a bomb of 102.
Well, I just have to say that you are in the right element. And I also told this to the folks there on the ship, the head people. I said, you have to have Jerry. Without Jerry, even though you're going to have these very important entertainers, it won't fly.
Well, that's so kind of you. You know, the reason it works, Anita, all of these performers that are on these cruises have been a part of my life for 55 years. And I have been blessed because I have never been dictated by a program director to play what they told me to play. If the Isleys came out with a song and I heard it, I put it on the turntable. When Frankie came out with a song before anybody was doing format, I would put it on the turntable. So these artists always have appreciated I've always been a family. We've been together. We've done shows together. So they feel comfortable, and I make the audience feel comfortable with the artist. Think of this, Anita. Where else, what other venue can you go to today in America? Certainly you'll go see a show. You might have a meet and greet after the show, but then it's over. But on these cruises, for 7 days, for 1 week, you're eating with the artist, you're commencing with the artist, you're dancing with the artist, there's questions and there are answers with the artist, there's wine tasting with the artist. The artist becomes a part of the family that was a part of the teen years, you see.
And that's what Jerry Blavat is talking about, because we are now very excited to announce that you can now get on the Malt Shop Memories Cruise, which is going to be leaving November the 1st. And I want to give you information, so just get your pencils out. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. You don't want to miss this. This is an opportunity of your lifetime, and just get your pencils. It's 844-855-MALT, and MALT is 6258. That's 844-855-6258, or go on the web, which is maltshopcruise.com. One thing, Jerry, I was very impressed about, and I'm sure I understood why. When the cruise wasn't even over, you had signed up so many people for the next one.
Well, Anita, it's such a natural. People who get on this cruise for the first time can't believe how phenomenal it was, and they want to go back again and again. You realize that I would say 60 to 70% of the people who are on these cruises have been with us for the last 3, 4, or even 5. Because, think about it, certainly there are other cruises, other oldie cruises, but this is a cruise of a lifetime, because it's not just the artist, it's the dancing, it's the fun, it's the prom, it's the hula hoop contest. It's so much more than just a cruise. People get off that ship, and they sign on immediately. And you know what I love? I mean, certainly I'm Philadelphia, South Jersey, the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, Delaware, but I meet people from all over the world that experience what God has given me, the ability for me to make people happy with our music. And that's what it's all about. I'm coming in your way, by the way, March the 6th and 7th at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood. We do a Philly, Jersey reunion. And so many of those folks that are on the cruise will be with us March the 6th and the 7th.
Really?
We dance. Oh, my God. You've got to come on down to see it. We do the line dances. We do the twist. We do the boogaloo. We do the mashed potato. We do the stomp. We do the 81. We do all of those wonderful dances that you remember watching the kids on Bandstand do.
When you think of it, Jerry, Bandstand, who would even think just watching people dance would be entertaining?
It's amazing. Anita, it really, really is amazing. And one thing I don't think the audience realizes, but the artists on all these cruises, when they get off the ship, just like the audience, they say this was the best time of our lives because people came together to appreciate. And the artist appreciates the fact that this audience will always keep them young. Music is universal. Music is timeless. I'll give you an example. When you hear Run Around Sue for the first time, a young person who hears it for the first time, they love it. If you hear At the Hot for the first time, you love it. If you hear Puppy Love for the first time, you love it. If you hear the twist and see people doing the twist, you love it because it's real. Music today, unfortunately, is not the way it was. My opinion with music, if it doesn't have a melody, if it doesn't have a storyline, if it doesn't have a lyric that touches your heart or your ear, it's not music. That's why these artists and these cruises, Malt Shop Memory Cruises, are just amazing.
Let me tell you something that I saw as an outsider watching, and that was one reason I went. I didn't know I was going to have so much fun, but I went because I wanted to review. And I saw people who were alone when they started, and they then matched up with other people. The thing that I felt was so good for those single people, whether men or women, is they never felt alone once they got on the ship.
We all have something in common, and the thing in common is the music. When I was a kid, and when you were a kid, especially in the Philadelphia area, kids from different neighborhoods, South Philly, West Philly, North Philly, Fishtown, they would go to a dance, and they would meet other teenagers from other neighborhoods, and that's how you learned. You went on a date, you went to the hot shop, and that's what the Malt Shop Cruise represents. You don't have to be husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend. You could be a single, and you're going to meet people that you have something in common to share with, and that's the music, and that's the beginning point for a relationship with people.
And what I watched, and I just really loved this, so when any of the performers came on, and I was watching the people in their seats. Well, they didn't wind up sitting for very long. They started standing. They started clapping. They started screaming. I mean, in fact, I was sitting next to a young woman who was so mad about, the first person that was on the, he was English, and it was the,
Peter Noonan. Was it Peter Noonan?
Yes, Peter Noonan. So she had everything on her shirt, and she was screaming, and she was so excited, and I was enjoying watching her. Well, he started giving away tapes, and I know he watched her. I knew he had to see her because we were on the third row. And, of course, he was throwing the tapes at people, and then he went to throw it to her, and someone else grabbed it. He said, no, it's for her. Well, I think she almost died walking out of that place. And so the entertainers are really eating this up.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying they relive again. You know, it's one thing to do a show, but it's another thing to be on a ship with your audience 7 days a week. I mean, you know, you're having breakfast with them.
Right.
You're out there. You're getting some sunshine together on the deck. You're getting off the ship. You're visiting the islands, and so are they. So it is a community. It is something that is so special. It's something that you will not find with today's artists. Today's artists are so standoffish with their bodyguards and that, not our audience and not our performers.
No, and I'm looking at your book. I just have to divert over here. Jerry wrote a book, which is really the history, in a sense, of that time till when everything he did. And you really must get this book. The book is called Jerry Blavat, The Geator with the Heater. You only rock once. You only rock once. And he wrote this. And it absolutely, I mean, I'm even seeing pictures of your mother and your father and you as a baby. Oh, are you cute? And in camp and your cousins and I mean, this makes it so personal. When you were 14, you were so cute. I mean, you always were cute. I'll bet you were surrounded by young women.
Well, if you read the book, I had my adventures in New York City and in Chicago. But, you know, it's been a wonderful life. I mean, to be Sammy Davis's best man, to be Don Rickles' valet, to be a personal friend of Frank Sinatra, and then to have Little Richard as a friend, and Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson and Frankie Avalon and Bobby Rydell, Frankie Valli, and they're all in the book because it's about a time when we were all young in America, and we all came together because the music was the thing that brought us all together. We didn't have a lot of money, Anita, back then. We'd hang on a corner. We'd go into the candy store. You put 25 cents into the jukebox. You'd get 6 plays. You'd play the pinball machine. You'd harmonize. And that's the way it began back in the day.
Well, one thing that I think we all know about you is it's very beautiful to see you are so humble with all the experience and all the fun and all the people you've known and all the great activities you do now. You're humble. You just act like a guy on the street, even though we know that you're busy and you have things. But I noticed that about you. You didn't miss a trick, didn't miss a step.
Anita, I believe that when the good Lord up above gives you a gift, you share it. Think about this. There's so many great performers. Elvis, you can go with Michael Jackson, you can go with Whitney Houston. They had a special talent that God gave them. When they abused that talent with drugs or alcohol, God takes that talent and gives it to someone else. I know I would be nothing without this audience. So I am humbled that they appreciate what I do. Nobody's going to get alive. I mean, we're all going to go. But when I go, I'm going to have a smile on my face because I live the greatest life anybody could ever live.
Oh, well, you have such longevity genes. You're not going yet, so forget that. Maybe they're the JEANS, but right now. But let's talk about what you do now. Besides going on the ship twice a year, tell us what you are involved in.
I'm on the radio 7 days a week with the Geator Gold Radio Network, and they could listen to it on WVLT.com internationally. We're in Atlantic City. We're in, I'm all over 7 days a week, with all different types of shows. And I do one-nighters on the weekend, and on Wednesdays we work the Valley Forge Casino here in Pennsylvania. Thursdays we work the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, and we do these marvelous shows at the Kimmel Center where we get 8 or 9 acts, like we do on the Malt Shop Memories Cruise, and we back them up with a 30-piece orchestra. So I work every day. I ride my bicycle. I go to the gym. I work out. I stay away from negative people. I try to do the right thing. And the audience, I say this, I live my life. I live through the music that I play. I've lived and I loved through the music that I play. And that's my whole life at this point, the audience.
Yeah, we all see that. And I'll never, I don't know what show, maybe it was a Four Freshmen, but I did notice you were in the sidelines there, and they were having such a ball. No one wanted them to stop or to leave. And you were there, trying to keep this thing going, and they were there long enough. They were not leaving. They were having so much fun. Wasn't it the Four Freshmen?
Listen, that's the secret, Anita. Fun, that's the secret. Love.
Okay,
that's the secret.
Well, what I want to do is make sure people know that this next ship is 70% sold, and every week that you don't sign up, you may lose. In fact, at the ship we went on was sold out. You couldn't have gotten on it. So people have been listening to me a long time, just like you, and I don't tell them things that I don't believe that are true. And this ship, this cruise, this Malt Memory Shop Cruise is absolutely something you will never forget. You will take it, pardon the expression, to your grave, because your kids couldn't possibly appreciate what you're going to go through. You just get on that ship. They give you this beautiful T-shirt that has everyone wears them. It has usually all the entertainers are written on the shirt. In fact, you ought to get your shirt signed by some of them. I did. And what you need to do is get there and forget the rest of the world. Stop the world. I want to get off and I want to go on this cruise, right?
Absolutely, pretty lady. You said it so perfectly. It is a once-in-a-lifetime situation, and that is why people rebook and rebook, because the memories, we can't go back in time, but it's great when we can visit through the memories of the Malt Shop Cruises. I mean, our world is it's getting smaller and smaller. Look what's happening in the world today. We grew up with love, respect, neighborhood, and the music spoke when we couldn't say things to express ourselves to the girl you were dancing with. You'd call me up and say, Geator, play a song for Sue. And I would say, I only have eyes for you. And Sue would call me up and say, play a song for me, for him. And I'd play for Jim. You belong to me. So the music spoke for the things we felt.
It did. Oh, you do bring back so many memories, and so people actually can listen to your show even if they're in South Florida, but going on your website, which is another miraculous thing. Life is very different. You're right, but it's the time when we jumped into the convertible cars. In fact, I was thinking, I know you've probably seen pictures from Cuba, and you see all those fantastic cars, but people are going to want those cars.
Well, when Castro came in, time stopped for what Cuba was. Now it has started all over again, and those marvelous cars that were they're running again.
It's the cars of our life, right?
Absolutely.
I remember I got married in 1955 or 56, and my husband had a Cadillac convertible with those, what do you call the fins. Well, let me ask you about your book again. How long did it take you to write this?
Well, the book took me basically almost 2 years, I would sit down with a fellow by the name of Steve Oski, and we would have coffee early in the morning, and I would talk into a tape recorder, and then he would take it and transcribe. But he would come back the next day, and I'd say, no, you can't put your words into this. The audience that reads this book, it's as if they were listening to me as I'm talking to you right now, Anita. So when you read this book, you will hear my words, you will feel my heart, you will know my passion, and you will know why I am and where I am today. I would never let anyone take my freedom away, and you'll read that in the book. My friendships with people. I grew up in a neighborhood, you knew everybody. The baker, the lawyer, the priest, the racketeer, they all lived in the same neighborhood. You never asked a person about their business. If they were a good neighbor, you accepted them. I remember as a kid, if you're on the corner, if you're going to do something wrong, the neighbor says, if I tell your mom, oh, no, I will never do it again.
Right.
So, the book talks about America, when America was young, and you can follow your dream. I am amazed how many young people come up to me, college kids, and say, this book for us is a revelation. This book is inspiring. How did you do it? I couldn't do, Anita, what I did back then today, because the world is a different place. I would never be allowed to have the freedom that I had. Remember, coming from a broken home, which is in the book, where did I learn? I learned from living. I learned from the nuns. I learned from the neighbors next door. I always looked up to older people. I listened to them. There was respect. And I saw my mom, God bless her, work every day, 6 o'clock in the morning as a riveter to support me and my sister. So when you read this book, you'll understand who I am and maybe why I am as humble, as you say, as I am.
Yes, I have read it, but the other part is you just brought up something, a very good point. You do go back into history. It's not just all the famous people. It's what was life like back then. And I think that's important for our kids to read.
Absolutely. It's when America, listen, we played in the streets. We played softball. We played halfball. You played basketball. You met other kids. When you met other kids, you emulated them. You looked at the way they dressed, the way they had their hairstyles. And if it was sharp, then you emulated that. I mean, we learn from each other. That's why God puts us here. We learn from other people to do good things. And everyone has a conscience. Okay, you know when you're doing wrong. Even as a kid, there's something deep inside that says, don't do that. That's wrong. Go by the 10 Commandments. You don't have to be a Catholic, a Jew, Buddhist, Muslim, or whatever. The 10 Commandments say it all. Shall not kill, honor thy mother and thy father, thou shalt not steal. That's what life's about, and that's what my philosophy has been, and the music is a part of that. Our music spoke about love, not hate, not violence. Talked about doing a dance, talking about falling in love, doing the stroll, doing the twist. There was nothing negative about our music. Listen to the music today. It's negative, Anita. You think that there will ever be a cruise for the people of today that are listening to this music? They're not going to want to go back and hear what was happening in violence.
Right. No, you are so right. I just, every time you talk, my head's shaking. Of course, you can't see it because it's on the radio. But I was looking through your book again, and I see when you introduced and had on your radio show Annette Funicello, and you had the Supremes. They weren't so famous yet. Did you know they would really be famous?
I knew when I heard their records. And as I said earlier, in the book you'll see, I was the first to play the music because I never had a program director. Radio, if you recall, during the Paola investigation, took away the disc jockey. He was no longer to pick his own music. A program director had to do that. But I was always free. I built a studio in my home in South Philadelphia, and the promotion men would come to me with all of the demos and all of the acetates and the promo records. When I heard something, I shared it with my audience. So I knew when the love light comes shining through his eyes, which was the first thing that the Supremes did before Come See About Me and Baby Love, I knew that these kids had it. I knew when I heard Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over, it was a hit. So I had always a good ear, even as a kid, as a dancer. So I always knew, and when I did my TV show, which you will read, I never stood behind a podium. I danced like the kids. I never wore a suit and tie. I danced on a riser. I was one of the kids, and that was the secret of the discophonic TV. You see on these cruises, everyone dances. We all dance together. I dance.
Right.
They dance. I just don't stand there. I can't do that.
No, and they know that, and they feel that, and that's why. I mean, I don't know what else I could say to our listening audience more than, I don't care if you're a little short of money. Give up something else you're doing. Go on this cruise because it will be the time of your life. And you have to know me. You've been doing this a long time. You know I don't do this casually. But I was so privileged to go on that cruise with my husband. And now my husband is much older than I am. And I thought I was dragging him because he said, well, that's not my music. I said, well, just sit there. You'll enjoy it anyway. Let me tell you, he was jumping up and down, clapping his hands, and he loved it. No matter what, he loved it because the entertainers, as you said, they have such fire in them. And then when you see, they're not 20-year-olds. They're 50 and 60 and 70 and some were 80, and you would never know it.
Well, that's the gift that God gave them, and they appreciate that gift. As I said earlier, music brings people together, whether it's Tony Bennett, whether it's Frank Sinatra because it had a lyric and a storyline, or Little Richard or Fats Domino or Frankie Avalon. If it's good, it's good. And your husband, who came maybe from a different era, appreciates that. Music is food for the soul. It's that simple.
I just went to a presentation of one of our big performing arts centers, and they always give you a little bit of a preview of what's coming. And they're going to be doing Motown, the show Motown. Well, I knew I was going to be talking to you. And those songs, I remember all those songs, and we could hardly sit in our chair. And we only they gave us 3 minutes, just to give us a tease. But that's really what you're talking about.
Really? Listen, every great country, the Italians have their music. The Spain had their music. The French had their music. Rock and roll is the music of young America. Whether it's Cameo Parkway with the pony and the twist and the mashed potatoes, or whether it's the Memphis sound with Sam and Dave, Hold On, I'm Coming, or the Motown sound, or the sound of Frankie Valli. That is the sound of America. Or the Beach Boys. That was the sound of young America. That was our music that we grew up to.
And I just got the sound from the director that our time is up. And Jerry, I loved it, and I can't wait for this next cruise. Thank you so much.
Listen, do me a favor, before you go, try and come to see me. I want to give you a hug.
Okay.
We'll be at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino March the 6th and 7th at Hollywood, Florida.
I've written it down.
All right?
Thanks, kiddo.
Yeah.
Bye.
Love you.
Love
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye.